Good morning everybody, Mr. Eric here. Today what we're going to be looking at is adding some conversation into our story game. So if you have not began the story, then you need to go and watch the previous videos. If you've not already made an account, then you need to go and watch video number 1. Today, because we have already made an account, we are signing in, we are adding in our username and password. I've got mine in here and we sign in. Because we already created the start of our game on the load page now, we don't create a new one. What we do is enter next to your name, click on the folder that says my stuff, and you can see that I have a few projects and I will be going into the police patrol one because that's the one we started for this game. Just a reminder of what we did last time. We had a game that when you press play, it goes to the next scene. If you press the green flag, it goes back to the welcome screen. Now what we want here is to have Devon interact in the second scene. So in the spaceship scene, once we press play, we want another character to be involved and have a back and forth conversation. So that's what we're going to be including today. First of all, we have the character sprite Devon. And let's just quickly see if we can have a little conversation here. So if we just started off with when the green flag is clicked and we press hello, when we press it, you can see Devon says hello straight away. But what we actually want is once the play button is pressed, that is when we want conversations to start happening. We want a new character to join in, so that's where we have to start off. Not when not when the green flag is clicked, but once the play button is clicked. So we need to go and find the code that we had originally, where it says when this sprite is clicked here. It hides the welcome message as well as some other stuff, but that's when we have to convert it using the broadcast again. Broadcasting basically says it is now your turn. We want you to run your code. So if we have after this and we go into the broadcasting, we want conversation time. So we have Devon first line. Let's say this. Let's just say first line. And when we go back onto Devon, when we receive Devon first line, we would say hello. And what that does here is when you press play, nothing again, Devon doesn't say hello, but once you press play button, Devon then says hello and start to have a conversation. So that is a good starting point. We need a new character for Devon to interact with, so let's just go and add in a sprite and let's see if there is a little spaceman. Let's use dog. We'll use the dog. So Dot the dog. You might want to make some adjustment changes and so on and so forth. So let's just say Devon will be there. Dot will be here. You want to increase the size, so let's say I want him dot to be 200, and you can increase the size using this section here in the sprite section. The directional area you can, well, let me just show dot here. If you click on this section in the middle and then spin, what happens is the dog will go ahead and spin round to face the other way. That way it looks like an actual conversation between Devon and Dot. I also don't want Dot to be starting off because, as you can see now, if I press the green flag, Dot is always there too. So what I want is Dot to be off the screen originally. So when we have the welcome, we have Dot, green flag is clicked, we want Dot to be hidden. All these little bits, this is me personally, so you don't have to do this. This is part of my story. You can start your story off with your characters on the screen if you like. I'm just going to be going through it as I would be planning it. So now we press the green flag, Dot is hidden. Once the play button's hit, Devon is talking first, and what we want is Dot then we also want not Devon's first line, so I'm going to remove this actually. So what I'm going to have instead is Dot appearance. So dot is going to be added in to the scene. So dot walk in, dot walk in, dot walks in. And at this point, when dot receives, dot walk in, that is when they will appear on the screen. After that, let's just show dot for a moment. Let's say dot starts off the screen. Let's move dot all the way over here off screen. And I want some movement with dot. So no, let's not move. Let's do some gliding. And I want dot to be moving to here. And that there, the X and Y position will change. You see dot is at 268 and minus 62 will move to 198 and minus 74. So let's just change that one to 62 so it goes on the same line. So now, when I press the green flag, dot is hidden. I press the play button and dot has moved slightly forward to 198. You can see once I clicked on dot. And the dot walk in. So I want this actually to be running multiple times because I know dot has got some few movements. It looks like it's dot's actually walking. So let's make dot move a little bit more and changing the appearance too. So switching dot's costume now and again. Go from dot B to dot C and we'll just rotate that as much as can. So let's just see this again. We press play. Doesn't quite do as much as we would like, so let's remove the glide and add some movement in. So each time you do this, you do need to check and run your program to see if it's exactly what you want. Sometimes it's not. So let's start that again. Let's see if this is a little bit too fast now. So a little bit better, but just a bit too fast. So let's just put a wait time in between the costume changes and the movements. And start that again. And then maybe we add another movement after the wait as well. So and you can see that dot hasn't moved. So at the very start, as well as hiding dot, we want dot to always start over here. So dot will always start over there. We want him to go to that position at the very start all the time. So let's go from here. You see dot's just walking along now. And it's a little bit too slow. I'm not waiting for that. So let's just change this to 0.2 and 0.2. Let's just see how fast that dot can walk here. Dun, 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 dun. And it looks like an actual scene now. So this is the part where we can actually have a conversation now. So this is the part where we have the broadcasting when Devon, after dot has walked in, so all the way at the bottom, and Devon's first line. So that is when Devon's first line now says hello. So what we actually have is when we start playing. Dot walks in. After dot walks in, Devon says hello. And that's when we can actually start to have a conversation then. And conversation, again, you will have many parts where you're receiving and when you're broadcasting. So once Devon says hello, I want to broadcast a new conversation again. And this is dot first line. So then we go on to dot and we zoom out a little bit because that is the part of the code. And when we receive dot's first line this time. So we'll have a bunch of these in. And let's just say dot will say hello as well, just as a general conversation starter. Let's press play. We have Dot walking in, and then we have hello and hello. So that is how you have a back and forth conversation. Every single time you finish that sprite finish their part of the conversation, you add a new broadcast. So then you can go ahead and add, after Dot says hello, we can go ahead and make a new one, and Devon's second line. And then Devon can go ahead when they receive second line, and you would have many of these. Devon might say, I see an issue. And you will see, you will have a back and forth conversation then. So Devon says hello after Dot walks in, Dot says hello, and then Devon goes ahead and says, I see an issue. So that is the conversation that you need to have. The next video will be how to actually include a game at the part. So in the meantime, I'm going to finish off a bit of a storyline conversation. I'm not going to do that on screen. And you should also do the same, try and finish your conversation, and at the end of the story will include some form of game. The game will depend on what storyline you have made. So again, if you have any questions, please put them down in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as I can. As well, make sure you watch the previous 3 videos before you watch this one. The conversation obviously is a little bit more difficult if you have not learned the other 3 things beforehand, and I will see you in the next one.